Hello and welcome to Proclamation Nation, Episode 3, Transparency of what? I'm Jay Ruth with Nothing But the Truth, and
I'm Ginger Snaps with Nothing But the Hard Facts.
Thanks, Ginger. What we're going to start off this episode with is watching a little video clip of our Mr. Barack Obama. I'm sorry, I can't call him president for some reason.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you gotta be a citizen, and yeah, there's a whole bunch of things there.
At any rate, we're going to watch a little video. We're going to fold into our video now, and we're going to let you see Barack Obama speaking pre-election about his new administration and the transparency.
I'll make our government open and transparent so that anyone can ensure that our business is the people's business. Justice Louis Brandeis once said, sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. And as president, I'm going to make it impossible for congressmen or lobbyists to slip court mill projects or corporate welfare into laws when no one's looking, because when I'm president, meetings where laws are written will be more open to the public, no more secrecy. That's the commitment I make to you as president. There's a bill that ends up on my desk as president. You, the public, will have 5 days to look online and find out what's in it before I sign it. So that you know what your government's doing. When there are meetings between lobbyists and a government agency, we'll put as many of those meetings as possible online for every American to watch. When there's a tax bill being debated in Congress, you will know the names of the corporations that would benefit and how much money they would get. And we will put every corporate tax break and every pork mill project online for every American to see. You will know who asked for them, and you can decide whether your representative is actually representing you.
Well, Ginger, what'd you think about that video?
It's like quite a good show.
Yeah, wasn't it? I mean, it was talking about a dog and pony show.
I was almost convinced. Almost
Really?
convinced, yeah.
I wasn't. Never fooled me for a second, but that's all right. In his speeches, he talked about 5 days to see any bill that crossed his desk before signing. Have you seen that?
No.
What else?
Let's talk about that healthcare bill too. Yeah, that's that was how many pages, and none of the people even voting on it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Even the people voting on the health care bill didn't get a chance to see it, let alone the American public.
Oh, yeah.
So what was that statement? Lie?
Could be. That's real transparent. Transparent. Lie.
Lie, right,
Yeah.
right. We're going to discuss transparency in depth here in just a little bit. We have a couple of... The reason that we're going into this transparency in government is too many people voted this time out of ignorance. They had no idea who they were voting for. And there's a good reason for that.
No, most definitely.
He didn't let anybody know who he was.
Mm-hmm.
He spent hundreds of thousands and into the millions of dollars having his school records sealed, his thesis papers sealed. He is one president you can't find anything from his college years on the internet. Period. Nothing.
Yep.
Had them all sealed up. Now, if you have nothing to hide, why bother covering it up?
Oh, very right. Yeah.
Right. And if you're building an administration on transparency, why cover it up?
Yeah, exactly.
The words
What he spent up to $2 million to defend not having to show his birth certificate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what's the word say? When you say one thing and you do another, you're what? You're a liar.
Mm-hmm.
That's James. When you can't say one thing and have your administration do right from the get-go the exact opposite. Actually, before his administration, we started having all his records sealed up. It was the exact opposite of transparency. You know, it's like beware of the man that says, I'm an honest man, I'm an honest man. Because if you have to proclaim you're an honest man, chances are you're not an honest man. Same thing with the humble man. Oh, I'm so humble, I'm humble. If you're humble, you don't have to say it. You do it, you can read it by their actions.
That's right, exactly.
And what happened here was we voted into office a president that we knew nothing about. Just like in Nazi Germany. And I'm not saying that he's like Adolf Hitler. Please don't go down there. He hasn't committed the atrocities that Adolf Hitler has yet.
Yeah, good call on that.
Right. I had to say yet because we have yet to see what's going to happen.
Just through his transparent legislation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. The biggest one was the health care bill, where not even the people voting on the bill got to see the whole bill before it was voted on. As a matter of fact, they talked about doing an end around with the deem and pass on the bill, meaning they would deem it passed. It's a technicality in government, and it's a self-executing rule known as deem and pass. It's a procedural measure used by the U.S. House of Representatives to approve legislation. If the full House votes to approve a legislation rule that contains such a provision, the House then deems a second bill as also approved without requiring a separate vote. So they thought long and hard about doing an end around because they didn't have the amount of votes. They were going to pull this deem and pass, which is usually used for much smaller bills. Nothing of this size has ever been done. It's been used quite a few times in the history of the United States, but it hasn't been used on anything this big ever. That was their answer to it. There's some more transparency in government, isn't it?
Oh, I agree, yeah.
His Congress pulling that. Now, let's take a look at the president himself and what we know about him. What do we know for sure about him? Well, we know he went to school in Indonesia, right? I mean, we've got
Which, from what I've heard too, that his elementary school teacher or something said that his Indonesian was very fragmented and barely even something that he even could describe as being fluent, as he would put it.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he does. We did see his application for school, and it was signed by his stepfather. And he had another name. It wasn't Barack Hussein Obama. It was Barry Soetoro. Is that how you pronounce it?
Barry Soetoro, yeah.
Barry Soetoro. So apparently our president has two names. Failed to mention that during his campaign speeches too. Which name do you go by? Is it Barack Hussein Obama? Is it Barry Soetoro? His father, at any rate, enrolled him in school. It says that he was born August 4th, 1961 in Honolulu, Hawaii. His religion was listed as Muslim. Muslim, not Christian. Muslim. Isn't that awesome? His stepfather was Lolo Soetoro.
Are we using the Hamas too? We're going to start using them in the White House for the negotiations between what's going to happen with us in Palestine and.
He's going to use Hamas? Is that what you said? Really?
Yeah. You might want to look into that one.
Oh my God. At any rate, back then it was impossible to enroll in school in Indonesia if you weren't a citizen during that time. So he may have held dual citizenship. He may not have. He may have given up his U.S. citizenship. He may not have. He hasn't told us. How's that for transparency? Where'd you come from, Obama? Why did it take him over 2 years to come up with a birth certificate?
Which is a fraud, by the way.
Well, you know what? We can go on and on and on and on about that, and it really doesn't matter, and that's what we're going to get to a little bit later, on why he's doing these things. Okay. He was 143 days as a U.S. Senator before declaring his bid for presidency. Now, I just saw a video earlier today, and hopefully I'll be able to roll it into this one if we have enough time, where he talks about not taking his career further into the federal level when he was a state senator because he didn't have the experience and he wouldn't feel comfortable taking on a federal thing. 143 days as a U.S. senator and he's already running for president? Again, watch this hand while this hand does this over here.
How comfortable I'd be. But a lot of people feel comfortable with him being president, obviously.
Well, you know what?
You want to change, Kevin.
Yeah, but pennies on the dollar is not the kind of change I wanted. Actually, less than pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Let's talk about his relationship with Acorn.
Yeah.
Now, well, it's true he did not work directly, supposedly, for Acorn. He did represent them as their lawyer in a 1995 lawsuit against the state of Illinois, the state that he represented.
Right, which, according to the research that I've done, he did work for Acorn.
Oh, he did. I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Okay. At any rate, let's talk about what Acorn is. Acorn is a boiler room. Excuse me, folks. I've got a really bad cold, and that's why this video is a little bit late. And I'm still not all the way better. I'll try and edit out all the coughs and sneezes and such, but please bear with me. Acorn is a boiler room operation. Once the authorities get wind of it, it moves and assumes a new name while it seeks out fresh victims. Long before two conservative activists captured Acorn employees on video offering to assist in the creation of a brothel, that's a whorehouse, for pedophiles, Acorn insiders knew their game plan. They knew the day would come when the Acorn brand was so tarnished it was time to go underground and then come up with a new name and a new alias. Right, new alias for their workings. Acorn was associated with the largest voting scandal in history during this last election.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Why were charges not brought?
Huh?
It's a coincidence that Obama worked for them?
Could it be?
I don't know. He represented them in a lawsuit. It also says that that they asked him back to train their employees every single year.
Every year, that's right. Yep.
Yep. So you can say you didn't work for them. Maybe you weren't on their books. You were hired as a consultant. You
Right.
definitely worked for Acorn.
It was all on the kind of Project Vote, is what it was called.
Right. Exactly. Now, this group is known to, setting up a brothel for pedophiles. This is the kind of group that he works for. Is this the type of a president that we want? These are all things that people didn't know before the election about Barack Obama. I'm sorry, I still have a hard time calling him president, Gwen. Here's another good one that we only saw a little blurb in the newspaper about. And this is another thing. Watch my hand over here while I do this.
It's a classic magic trick.
Yep. Obama appointed 2 devout Muslims in key posts in our Homeland Security. 2. Obama and Janet Napolitano appointed Arif, and I'm sorry if I butcher your names, it's not my intention, I can't pronounce them, Arif Akan, a devout Muslim, as Assistant Secretary for Policy Development in the Department of Homeland Security. And Kareem Shora, a devout Muslim, as the Homeland Security Advisor Council, June 5th, 2009. Did we see anything about that in the newspaper? Maybe a little like this big?
Yep.
Media, where were you? We're asking the foxes to guard the hen house? I mean, that's beyond ludicrous. You ask, and here's another thing. Has anybody heard a government announcement about anybody being devout, advertised or identified as a devout Catholic, a devout Jew, or a devout Protestant? Have you ever heard that type of announcement before?
No.
But it was announced that they devout Muslims to these posts. Are you kidding me? The war on terror. We're not fighting Irish. We're not fighting Chinese right now. Not all Muslims are terrorists. I understand that. But the terrorists we're fighting now are Muslims. And we appoint 2 of them in key posts in Homeland Security. Slip them right in the back door. Like the czars. Obama didn't want to have to pass all his stuff by Congress, all his new appointments, so he made up new posts for them.
Yep.
How can you do that? Is that transparency? Where you make up new posts, you appoint your people so that Congress doesn't have to approve them? Is that transparency?
No.
I've got a word for it, Gwen.
It's called around the Constitution.
It's called. Oh yeah, Constitution means nothing to him.
Right.
It's called invisibility. Obama, read my lips. It's not transparency. Invisibility.
That's right. Yeah.
Here's my hand. Watch it. While this hand over here is doing something else. That's the whole thing that we're getting into with this. Is he really a citizen? Is he really not? When Clinton was being investigated for having his ties to China, what all of a sudden happened? Monica Gate. The whole country was obsessed with, did he sleep with this girl?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't have sex with her.
Sexual relations
with this woman. Right. Yeah, apparently performing fellatio on somebody is not having sex. At least that's what he taught our young ones in school, and don't even get me going on that.
Well, and what else did he say? Oh, I'm going to shut down Guantanamo.
No, it's not shut down either. Yeah, no.
Oh. He's going to take troops out of Iraq.
When was the last time we saw Bill? 5 days before he hit his desk, right from his speech.
What about the stimulus?
Stimulate
Do you know
this.
we're in the worst economic state that we've been in history? I mean, and this is the confidence and everything is down way before he took office.
Gwen,
and now it's even worse since he's done this.
Our dollar is worth 96% less than it was before the Federal Reserve took over. Before we got off the gold standard, went with the Federal Reserve, our dollar is now worth 96% less than it was back then.
Yeah. I think every day on the money that we owe is like $1 billion or $7 billion. That's a lot of money. That's all I know.
In interest?
Yeah, in interest. That's right.
We can't afford to continue to operate on this. My point in this episode is, you need to do your homework before you vote, people.